ask me what you think of the craft beer industry.
What do you think of the craft beer industry?
The craft beer industry, right? We got to stop there because this craft beer thing is a load of bollocks. Excuse my language, right? Because have you ever heard of craft wine or craft whiskey or craft bread or craft anything? No, you haven't. There's good stuff and there's bad stuff, right? We make good beer. The other guys make bad beer. First got interested in the brewing business in 1994, the day Ireland beat Italy in the World Cup.
And Houghton with the shots, and it's there!
I'm sitting in Heathrow Airport on my way back to Vancouver in Canada, and I was watching this woman over at the bar counter doing this, and I was thinking, what is she doing? And there was these pints of red stuff coming up on the counter. And I was thinking to myself, what is she doing? What is that stuff that people are drinking? So I went over and I said, have a pint of that, whatever it is. I remember putting it to my lips and thinking, wow.
My name is Colin Hession. I am one of the owners of El Mulligan Grocer in Stoney Batter. I lived in Australia for a few years and I came back and I wanted to drink craft beer because I developed a huge interest in it over there, and I found it relatively difficult to find a series of places that had craft beer, and Irish craft beer specifically. I certainly got annoyed with not having the opportunity to try something else. You know? I got very annoyed, to the extent that I opened a pub. So when we opened up, my main drive was that, okay, not only are we going to serve craft beer, but we're going to only serve craft beer and try and support the microbreweries that have opened up.
And I got back to Canada and I was telling all the other English and Irish guys and Australians that this experience I had in Heathrow Airport, and they were going, oh yeah. So they brought me up a six-pack at lunchtime, as you do when you're illegal in Canada and working in a car wash. And I remember drinking and thinking, yeah, God, this is amazing. Where did all this beer come from? And they started talking about this craft beer, and I was like, hang on a second, lads, hang on a second. What is this stuff you're talking about, you know? And they started explaining to me, so I went down after work, and I remember looking into this window and there was this brewery inside, and I was like, wow, the only brewery we'd ever known was, you know, you got off the train at Houston Station and there was all these massive tanks behind this massive wall. You know, that was the only brewery that we ever knew, and it was like something dark and mysterious, and that was it. And all of a sudden there was this little small kitchen you could see in the window, and you could go in and you could have a chat with the guys who were making this beer, and it was, wow, I thought this is incredible. So that started me off on a journey.
There used to be that many breweries in Ireland, and they were all shut down because the macro companies, the conglomerates, shut them down, closed them up, bought the recipes, and didn't allow them to brew. I'd love to see that coming back. Where there's like at least one brewery per county in Ireland.
Yeah, no, I mean there was a whole sort of new wave of craft breweries that kind of came out in the late 90s. Some didn't survive. Some did survive. There was O'Hara's, there was Dublin Brewing Company. Can't remember now at this stage actually what the dates were. It's all a bit of a blur. Probably drank too much of the craft beer over the years to actually remember exactly when it happened.
Came back from Ireland, was working for Hewlett Packard, and came home one weekend and picked up the local Tipperary Star, and there was talks of a microbrewery opening in Thurles. Jeez, I thought, what? So I shot over to Thurles that evening, and after 30 seconds he says to me, you're the first guy in the door that knows anything what you're talking about. He says, so you want to start Monday morning? So I quit Hewlett Packard. My wife would have killed me. But I thought this is something I want to do.
Commercial beer and whatever, guys, is you know, it's the purview of the scientist and the engineer, where you push a button and you extract the most economy out of the product that you're putting in.
And they reach this lowest common denominator of flavour that they try to appeal to everybody. Whilst they're trying to appeal to everyone, they appeal to nobody.
Whereas with craft beer, I think the passion is to make the best possible beer you can and deliver that the freshest to the customer. It's like, you know, why do people prefer, you know, splash of Cure in their water over than just plain water? Water's fine, you know. Cure's tastier. It just is. It's just a level above.
So I started brewing. I was there on my own. A lot of it was by, you know, I was just reading as much as I could find out to learn about brewing. 18 months into that, myself and Bill DeWan had a huge argument one day. And he said to me, well, why don't you run the business yourself? And I said, okay. So I came home on a Friday and said, wife, we're after setting up a brewery, we're after taking it on.
And I think that's very interesting when you see the way the craft beer market has gone, that the bigger breweries now are releasing these pseudo craft beers, you know, that are, yeah, not very interesting.
This is how ridiculous it is. As I mentioned earlier, craft beer is 1% of total sales in Ireland. 1%. So the multinationals have 99% of the market. Obviously that's not enough for them. I mean, how much money do you really want to be making? You know, you're always chasing that dollar. I don't see the societal benefit to that.
So Chris Reid from Messrs Maguire's phoned me up. He says, there's a position here as a brewer if you want it. So we took that on as a business model, and I travelled from here to Dublin every day, up and down on the train, every day. You know, I had 4 young kids at the time. It was tough. And I did that for nearly 6 years. And my wife said to me, she says, you're just wrecked from this. She says, you know, you either got to do your own thing or get out of this business, but you can't keep going up and down to Dublin every day, you know. And she was right. That was 2008. I came home. I knew this brewery was for sale down in Kinsale, so I made the guys an offer. They accepted it, and the day we signed the deal was the day the government signed the bank guarantee. So the country was going down to Swanee, and I was just after buying a brewery. Whoa!
No, I definitely think that supporting microbreweries and local breweries is fundamentally important because, you know, when you're buying pints of a macro product, it doesn't matter who it is, normally those profits are going out of the country.
I think that's one thing that's kind of lost on the big breweries trying to get into this craft beer scene, is that there's an element of politics, personal politics, when you're trying to support a local indigenous producer that you might even know.
So if I'm able to use my disposable income to support John, the brewer from Kilmainham, then why not? And if he's able to take on an employee because he's got so busy, surely that's good. Surely that's a good thing.
I was kind of in a serious state of panic as to how the business was working out, but the craft beer thing had been moving along very slowly but very steadily. I had a very, very careful look as to what the business would be like in 20 years' time and where I'd like to be in the business in 20 years' time. Do I want to be a big brewery employing loads of people and, you know, tick all these boxes like the big guys do, and the very last box to be ticked is beer? I thought, no, I don't want to be like that. The first box I want to tick is beer. So therefore, it's always going to be small and niche. So how do you keep that small and niche as a business model? So we said, well, we've got to stay local. We've got to focus locally. When you take that apart, when you break it all down, you know, what's it about? You know, it's not about us making beer essentially. It's about us showing people that you can do this. If the farmer grows the malt and barley and it gets malted locally and he brings it into me and I make beer out of it and I sell it back to the local customer, that money goes round and round and round, and every time it goes round it gets bigger which means that the farmer's getting more money, which means he employs more people. We're getting bigger, we employ more people. And we get to a stage where we're all making a very sustainable living, where the money that's being generated in the local area stays in the local area. That's how communities survive and sustain themselves. If you were to get rid of Guinness in the morning and every town had to have its own brewery, there'd be 15 times more people employed in the brewing business than there is now. The variety would be incredible. You'd have a whole, oh, Thurles makes a great beer, Nina makes a great beer. It's leadership. It's about showing people, yes, we can do this. Of course we can do this. Why can't we do this? There's too many people out there, every day you pick up the newspaper, the television, it's all about the bad news, you can't do this, you can't do that. Look, you can do it. Forget about all the outside stuff. Just have your vision, get up, go and do it. You can do it.